Hello folks, YouTubers, everybody. It's Sunday, 1:25 p.m. We had a little bit of sprinkle of snow last night, about maybe an inch and a half, but just enough where I got to go out and plow it. I hope the 60 horsepower turbocharged tractor will have enough power to do that one. But anyway, just enough down to make a mess. So while I'm out here, I'm going to do a video, and the video is going to be on pop rivet guns. Somebody asked me if I use pop rivet guns. Well, basically every tool that I have, I use, and that includes pop rivet guns. But there are differences in pop rivet guns, so I figured the people who had asked me in the past would like to see what the differences are and the different types of guns there are. So we'll do that. While I'm here, I'd like to give a shout out to some YouTubers who got their own channel, and they're called the Plow Guys. And they're two fellas that go out in the plow truck and they do a bit of plowing. They're down in the States. They don't have a lot of subscribers, but we've been commenting back and forth the last 24 hours, and I'm going to put their link in the description. So if you guys get a chance, why don't you pop on over and subscribe to them. I'm sure they would appreciate it, because great bunch of guys, and they're hard workers like us all, and they're just trying to get by in life, so I'm sure they would appreciate it. And plus, I think you can get a kick out of it. They got some good gear for plowing snow, so there's that. And there was a job that came in on the last video from a manure belt. I worked overtime Friday night and I got that repaired, so I'll show you that now. And then we'll, when I get the driveway plowed, I'll come back and we'll get into the pop rivets. So let's get at it. Okay, in the last video, this showed up late Friday evening, and this is a shaft off a manure belt for the farm. And what you see in there is its chain. That was pretty bad. It was seized in a couple of places, but I cleaned it up with the sandblaster and I freed it up. So now I just got it soaking in some WD-40 till tomorrow, which will be Monday morning, and the guys can come in and pick it up. All these brackets here were all bent up and really bad shape, including that one there. So that's been all taken apart, straightened up, cleaned up. And here, you can see this item here, that screws into that shaft. Well, that was cracked off. There's actually a little hole for the grease nipple, or for the grease to travel through that. So I ended up having to machine or fabricate a new one. So that worked out quite well. So that job is pretty well ready to be picked up tomorrow. I just thought you might like to see how it worked out. And this is the snow we got. Well, there's not a lot, but it still has to be cleaned up, so I'll do that. I'll have to get the tractor out of the shelter and go to it, and then we'll come back and we'll do the video. Okay, so the question was, Paul, do you use pop rivets? And as you can see, the answer is yes. We use them, or I use them. Not frequently, but they have their place. Sometimes you're doing a snowmobile repair, sometimes you're doing you might have a situation where you have two pieces of metal that are hard to clamp together before you weld them. I'll drill a couple of holes and I'll just shove a pop rivet in them, and then I can go ahead and do my TIG welding, and I'll just fill the hole after. There's lots of cases where pop rivets are needed, and we'll get into that. So we'll start off with the basic pop rivet gun. This is your basic cheapy pop rivet gun. This particular one, God only knows how old this one is. It goes back a ways, but you know, I never paid a lot of money for it when I bought it, and it's worked quite well. Again, it's just your basic pop rivet tool. I kind of like this one at the time because it had a long snout on it, and you could get into a deep situation or a deep channel with it to use it. So that's your basic one. It comes with your three different sizes of pop rivets. And here's another one that's made by Arrow. And what attracted me to this particular one is it basically did everything that one did, except it's got a swivel head on it. So that's pretty cool as well, and not expensive. Again, probably, or in Canada, probably 30 bucks, 40 bucks maybe, and it works quite well. So I don't know how many people are actually familiar with pop rivets and how they work, but I'll just take this over and I'll show you. So you're going to drill out your hole a 3/16 or a little tiny bit bigger, it don't matter. And as you squeeze the pop rivet gun, there's a steel shank, and that's going to come down and it's going to cause that aluminum shell to swell up. And this is how it looks. Now, forgive me, guys, to the people who already know about this stuff, but believe me, there's a lot of people out there who don't know about it. And anyway, so when you get the two pieces of metal, they'll get drawn together, and they'll get drawn together to the point where the gun will actually crack off the steel shank. That stays in the two pieces of metal, and the steel shank will come out and look like that. And of course that just gets tossed away. So that's basically how a manual pop rivet gun works. Now when it comes to steel rivets, there's a number of different sizes. There's a number of different lengths. And here's a cheap kit that you can pick up at Princess Auto. And they range from very short to a little bit longer. They're 1/8 and even smaller. So if you know you're working on plastic models or anything like that, or guys, they can be pretty well used anywhere. So you know, if you don't have a pop rivet gun, you pick up a cheap one, or it don't matter, they always, I haven't had one fail yet. And pick yourself up pop rivets, or you can buy them by the box if you plan on using a lot of them. I like to go with quality pop rivets and not these cheap ones, but I use the cheap ones for just little fooling around jobs. When it comes to pop rivets, Click Fast is a good pop rivet. They're made by Marzen, which is a really reputable name when it comes to you know, hand rivet tools and also pop rivets. So you might want to consider that if you're on one of your larger jobs and you require you know, a good solid clamping with your pop rivet. Also, there's many different types of pop rivets. There's your conventional pop rivet here. Well, then you have these types, and this type is called a blind rivet, and really good quality rivet. It's got a really good hold because of the head on it, and I use them quite a lot. I buy them by the boxes. So you know, when you're doing snowmobile repairs like hoods and whatnot, or even body work on a snowmobile, they do come in handy. So they're also made by Marzen as well, which is again a good product. Okay, now if you anticipate having to do a lot of riveting, you're not going to be wanting to use this stuff, especially if you have rivets in the hundreds to put in. You're going to want one of these babies. This one here is made by Ultra Pro, which is a Napa product, but there's generic ones out there as well, and it comes with a number of different size tips. And this one is a pneumatic gun, but is what they refer to as air over hydraulic. So we're just going to plug that into the hose, and I'll show you how that works. And basically so let's do the same thing here with this rivet, and we shall see. And that's how that works. And the rivet falls down in the handle, and you take it out like that. So if you wanted to use the blind rivet, they pretty well act the same way. Just got to change the head of it, and it'll work exactly the same way. There's a back on it, and that's basically where she exhausts to. So, you know, if you're using these things, you don't want it exhausting in your face. You just loosen up the knob here, and you just turn it down. And of course, periodically you want to add a little bit of, like any pneumatic tool, add a little bit of oil, pneumatic tool oil, to your hose connection, and that keeps the seals and everything lubricated inside, which is great. So, yeah, so that's your air over hydraulic gun, and that gets a bit of use here as well. Now, there are certain types of guns are used for special occasions, and what I mean by special occasions, or special situations where a gun must be used. In the past, I've had vehicles coming into the shop that had rattles in the door. Very common problem. Or their window, when it went up, it didn't go up to its full height, and it used to stay down a little bit and cause weather to get inside and get the door wet inside and whatnot. And what I have found in the past is I've found that there's been previous repairs done on the inside door. Perhaps the vehicle was in an accident, and the body shop who did the repairs had to remove the window regulator and the motor. The window regulator, guys, is the crank that puts it up, and that's either manual or, of course, motor driven, where it's power. And what they've done, in order to get that apart, they've had to drill out 1/4 rivets. It's actually held together with rivets, and people will say, well, why did they do that? Well, I'll tell you why they do that as a manufacturer, is because the rivets actually work better than a nut and a bolt. A nut and a bolt will eventually come loose. But what I've found is I found a lot of body shops and a lot of independent garages do not own the proper gun for putting these things back into the door properly. And here's the proper tool for putting a door casing, just as an example, a door casing back together, you know, in a car. And this is made by Marson, and it's actually called Big Daddy. It's a riveting gun. It's a 1/4 gun. The model number on it is 39010. And this comes with an extra extension, extra long snout as well. I'm telling you, like, I use this pretty well for everything. This is super cool, this one. So just going to show you what the rivets look like for it. And again, they're made by Marson, and they come in different lengths, but they're all 1/4. And I mean, just to compare it to this 3/16 one, well, there you go, guys. You know, it is a big rivet, and it kind of works a little bit different than the conventional rivet, and I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to sacrifice a rivet. Just imagine, eh? So I'm going to put it in there, and it's going to mushroom out. So I bet you there's fellas out there now saying, man, I could have used that on the job I was doing, or whatnot, you know. But now that you see it's available, You might be doing a job where you'll say, boy, you know, I could certainly use one of them. And it'll do the same thing. You'll keep cranking it down until it will literally crack off the rivet. But that's how it works. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. That thing got some hold. I have never seen one come loose in a door. And getting back to the problem where, there you go. Getting back to the problem where the doors were starting to rattle inside and the window wasn't going to its full height, the nuts and bolts were basically falling out of the door. So again, it's just a poor repair by another facility who never even, probably never cared or never had the tooling. Sometimes it's not the technician's fault. I've worked for companies that didn't invest in tools. And I mean, you're not going to let a carpenter build a house with just a hammer and nothing else. I mean, he's obviously going to need more tools. Well, and that's the same thing in this trade. So it's essential, you know, that your service provider has enough of the tooling to do the job properly. And you, like anything else, guys, you know, you get what you pay for. So keep that in mind when you're going to get some stuff done. Now, I gave that as an example as being used in a door situation, but there's many parts under a vehicle where that could be used, like some of the plastics under the car you could use that for. But technically, there are better tools even than this if you're doing work under the car. And we shall get into that now. Let me see. This is going to be another type of rivet tool, but it's not going to be steel. It's not going to be aluminum. It's going to be plastic. And you'll see these used a lot. And this is the gun. Now this particular one is made by Mac Tools. I really don't see a number on it. So you'll have to look it up if you're interested in buying one. I think Princess Auto now sells a cheaper version of this. So I'm just going to come over and I'm going to show you. I've used these to hold mud flaps on. This is all plastic, guys. Mud flaps on. Or you'll have the shield, the plastic shield. You'll see them getting ripped off cars or hanging down off cars. And the holes are always 1/4 inch. So you can have the push-in clips, or you can have the plastic clip that goes in with a screw on it. You take a screwdriver and put it in. But you know, for a fast repair, when a fellow's in for an oil change and you see it's hanging down and you don't want to tie up any time or much money for him, so you pop them in and, you know, he don't know the difference and it stays up in place. So here's how that works. And as you can see, it really goes tight. And it will crack off, and that's what it looks like. Now, with this rivet gun, it don't come out through the back. It got to come out through the front. So if you ever have one, and you crack off the rivet inside like they have to, well, you're going to have to just take it and invert it and dump it out. So that's just another type of rivet tool. So again, you know, a rivet tool is basically just a fastener. And they're a necessity. You know, like a lot of people, I might go months here and not use one. And then I might go a day, you know, and I'm always using them. Now, remember years ago you'd see the, especially the Chev pickups, they'd have the West Coast mirrors on it, or they'll have the mirrors with the struts coming into the door and they'd be bolted onto the door. Well, we had a guy here, about a year ago, and he was going everywhere, going out of his mind. He was doing up an old truck. And if you looked at the door, he replaced the door, there was 5/16 holes, I believe, in the door where the mirrors used to bolt on, but there was no treads in there. And he was going to bolt it on, and I said, no, you shouldn't bolt it on. So here's another tool that you would use in a situation like that, and this is made by Mac Tools as well. And it looks like a rivet gun, but what it is you drill your hole, and you put this in the hole, and you put it on there, And when you put it in the hole, you start to compress it like you would a normal a pop rivet gun, and this thing swells out, swells up. And then you unscrew this here, and that stays in the door right tight. So what happens is then you just take your, well, in this case, your 5/16, no, your 1/4" bolt, and you screw it onto your door with your mirror, and it's guaranteed to stay. So that gets a lot of use as well. And that's just another way of making sure that, or another way of attaching something to a vehicle or project that you're on. And it comes in many different sizes. And I'll just see if I can tip it up without dumping it all out. And of course, for each different size, you have to use a different arbor. So I've had it a while, works well, and quality product when it's coming from Mac Tools. So that's basically what I use for for quick attaches and whatnot. You know, I can go from a common pop rivet gun to a Big Daddy pop rivet gun to a air over hydraulic to a plastic riveter to the insert riveter. So to answer your question, yes, I use them. Do they get used a lot? No, but it's like any other tool. You know, when you need it, you really need it. And all of these particular tools have their place, and by using them properly, you'll ensure that the customer goes away happy and you don't have any comebacks, because I wouldn't want to be using nuts and bolts in a door casing or in a door mechanism and then a month later have it come back, probably a bolt fell out and twisted something up and then it damaged it. Nah, it's just a mess. So you're better off investing in the right tools to do the job properly the first time, because comebacks cost you and cost the customer. So there it is, guys. So that's my little rant on pop rivets and pop rivet guns. So it's only a short video, so I hope you enjoy it. Probably in the next video, or I'm planning on doing a video anyway, I don't know if it'll be the next one, on weird tools. Like, there's tools here I'm sure people haven't seen before. I have engineers come in here and see me using something, say, what in the heck is that? And then I'll explain it to them, and they'll say, never saw it before. So maybe that might make an interesting video. In the meantime, Kathy is in doing some graphics for me for another project that I haven't told you about yet, which I will eventually. And so she's in there. We were shopping yesterday, so she ended up with a couple of new pairs of boots and a new purse. She loves boots and purses. She's worse than Melgo Marcos. So anyway, so we'll call this a take or a wrap. And if you get a chance, guys, check out the Plow Guys. The link will be in the description. I'm sure they would appreciate you just dropping in and saying hello to them. They're a great bunch of guys, and you know, I think they're new to YouTube, so I'm sure they would appreciate your support, or even just dropping in and making a few comments, or even just push the subscribe button. When they see the subscriptions going up, they'll appreciate it. So this should do you till the next video. Tomorrow is Monday. Hey, maybe we can get another video going tomorrow or Tuesday. Depends on what's going on in the shop. So guys, take care of yourself. Thanks for watching, and thanks for the previous comments. You're going to notice a little difference in the opening and closing. We're going to start mixing up the openings and closings because it's getting too repetitive, that the drum roll and everything like that. So we're just going to try to mix it up a little bit. So tell us what you think. You know, it's I try to get, I like a number of different types of music. Well, I pretty well like it all, except I'm not into rap. I never got into the rap. But anyway, nothing against it, it's just not for me. But I try to put music there that's not intrusive to the average viewer. So I'm hoping this one will work out as well. So tell us what you think. Thanks a lot. Look after yourself. It's Sunday. Spend some time with your family. If you got kids, give them a hug. I'm telling you, it goes a long way with kids. Our two boys, when they're around us, one's 30 years old and the other one's 32 or 33, we still hug them. And you can't go wrong by hugging your kids. Be good to each other, take care of yourselves, and God bless.